On average, Americans spend more than 30% of their income on home expenses, so rent or mortgage or property taxes. But how about if I told you there was a way that you could save that 30% or even more through house hacking? Dude, what are you doing? Dude, you said I would save 30% of my income if I was house hacking. So I'm hacking, you have a house hacking, duh. I can tell you haven't watched the rest of this video, have you? Just keep on watching and you'll see what I mean by house hacking. House hacking is a strategy homeowners use that offsets their expenses by renting their home. And if you do it right, you actually might make some money. When I lost my job, I was able to continue with my real estate business because I was doing house hacking. And I was actually able to substitute my entire salary through house hacking. So if you have the right elements in place, you're actually able to make money through house hacking as well, not just cover your expenses on a monthly basis. This is why it's a great strategy for new real estate investors to get into. It gets your feet wet. It gets you introduced to how a house works. It gets you introduced to how tenants work. And it's a great way to get started if you're looking into investing in real estate. So in this video, I'm going to go over 9 steps that are going to get you started with house hacking. The first thing I see is you want to start going to open houses. And here is where you're going to start getting an education on real estate, right? When I first started, I started going to open houses and it took me a while to get my home. And I just had to go to open house after open house to figure out what exactly I wanted. And I also learned about comps. You know, I learned about what was a good deal. I learned what was a bad deal. I learned what I liked, what I didn't like. I learned the lingo around the real estate questions that I needed to ask. You know, I heard somebody talking about how old is the furnace, how old is the roof, those things I didn't even think about before. And eventually I started asking these questions and learning more about the mechanics of the actual home. So as you start going to open houses, it's just going to give you so much information that you're going to be able to put together. And while most people are going to tell you, hey, start working on your credit score, start working on your finances, yes, you're still going to start working on those as well. But don't wait until the last minute. Don't wait until you're ready to start going to open houses, because you're going to start educating yourself on what's going to be one of the biggest investments that you're going to be making. And open houses is going to be that free education that you're going to get every Sunday or every Saturday. So number 2 is you're going to want to start working on your credit score. Right now, there's programs that allow you to buy a home with a credit score of 580. You got to start educating on what's going to be the right program for you. You can start calling a loan officer and just talking to them about your situation, and then they're going to be able to give you some information as what's going to be the best options for you. I'll do other videos on how to work on your credit score, but know that you can start at 580, and the higher your credit score is, of course, the lower the interest rate is going to be. So that means your payments are going to be lower on a monthly basis. Also, having a higher credit score is going to give you more options in terms of programs. And those programs can, again, reduce the amount of money that you're going to be paying on a monthly basis. So start thinking about your debt to income ratio. Your debt to income ratio is something that not too many people talk about, but this is one of the most essential aspects of what the bank is going to be looking at. And your debt to income ratio is how much money you're making to how much debt you have. So the highest debt to income ratio that the bank usually looks at is 43%. So that means you could have up to 43% of debt to your income. So for every $100 you're making, the max you could spend is $43 a month. And that's going to determine basically, and that's including your mortgage as well, your new mortgage that's coming in. But banks usually like to be more around the 36% mark. That's going to make it more comfortable to lend you and make you a stronger borrower. So as you start looking into ways that you could make yourself look better for the bank, start looking at how you could reduce your debt, because your debt to income ratio is going to be a key. So pre-approval and financing, this is when you start looking into the next step. So you have your credit score kind of getting better, you have your debt to income is getting there, and now you can start going into see how you can get a pre-approval. So you call a mortgage lender and say, hey, you know, I'm ready to see if I could buy a home. So they're going to ask you for your social, they're going to ask you for how much income you're making gross, and then they're going to be doing the numbers as to how much home you could afford. Now it's going to be different if you're going to buy a single family versus a multifamily. And the difference is when you're buying a single family, they're only going to be looking at your income. when they're buying a multifamily, what they're going to be looking at, they're also going to be looking at the additional income that home can make. So therefore, they allow you to borrow a little more on a multifamily than they would allow you to borrow on a single family, just because of the fact that they acknowledge that, yes, there's going to be additional income coming in from that property. Also note that there's different types of loans. So let's just keep it to the basics, which is an FHA loan, which is a first-time home buyer loan. And these loans, you can start as low as 3%. Most of the time, you're going to have to pay PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. So private mortgage insurance is an insurance that covers the mortgage in the event that you default. So what happens is the bank wants to protect themselves because you are putting a really low down payment on a big investment, 3%. So they want to say, hey, we're comfortable at 20% and you don't have that. So let's find some way to cover that. And this is where PMI insurance comes in. Private mortgage insurance will cover the rest of that mortgage, or the 17% that you will default in. And this is usually a high premium you have to pay, the PMI. And one way to remove that PMI is if you add equity into your home, and then you're able to refinance out of that PMI into a conventional loan, which is you're going to be at 20%. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages. You're going to be getting a little higher interest rate when you're in a regular conventional loan instead of an FHA loan. FHA loans tend to be guaranteed by the government, so therefore the interest rates tend to be lower. Number 4 is your down payment. The way your down payment is going to be broken down is going to be basically into 3. First, you're going to have a small amount of money that's going to be put down, and this is going to be when you submit your offer. Then you're going to have another amount that's going to be distributed when you sign your P&S. And then finally, your last down payment, or the last remaining balance of your down payment, is going to be brought at closing. Okay, so now you need the money to be able to pay for this home. Now, there's several options. You could straight out save your money. You have gift options that you could have, so somebody could give you a certain amount of money. And you also could use your 401k retirement money to be able to come up with a down payment. Also, there's depending on your income, your city might have programs that have assistance on providing a down payment. So again, these are the things you want to look at, what programs are out there to be able to assist you with a down payment. So there's a lot of options out there. So you just have to get educated. You have to do a little research as to what programs are in your city and in your neighborhood that could help you. I also included in the description a list of payment assistance by state. So if you guys want to look into that, just go into the description below. Number 5, deciding on what type of home you want. So you're either going to buy a single family or multifamily. If you're going to buy multifamily, the max as a residential home you're going to be allowed to buy is going to be a 4-unit home. And here, the beautiful thing about having a multifamily is going to be you're going to have tax incentives, and you're definitely going to be able to leverage the additional apartments to reduce your expenses on a monthly basis. Another thing you want to think about is whether you're going to be buying a home that needs repairs or a home that's already up to the market value, where there's no repairs needed. And that's going to be up to your resources that you have. If you have additional funds that you can use to repair the home, or if you have additional funds to repair the home, or you have the skills to be able to repair the home, you should look into ways that you can potentially bring the equity of your home up by buying a fixer-upper instead of buying something that's already maxed in the equity when you purchase it. Fixing the home, number 7. So now you bought the place. If you have a place that's already fixed and you don't have to worry about it, eventually some things might come up because it's a home that's wear and tear. But if you bought a house that needs renovation, you're most likely going to need to renovate it. So how do you go about that? There's ways you could go into Angie's List. You could start looking into local meetups and local networks, where you could start getting contractors and resources and other referrals from others that are going to point you to the right people to help you renovate the home. All right, number 8. Now you fixed the home. You have the home. You fixed the home. Now you're ready to rent it out. All right, so here we go. So now it's time for you to start making some money. So I just set up a scenario just so you can see how house hacking could work. So in this scenario, purchase a home at $650,000. So you can see that you would owe $130,000. Your down payment would be $130,000. So much money if you would be putting a 20% down. So instead, let's see what happens when we do 3.5%. Right? So 3.5%, your down payment would be $22,750. That's probably much more reasonable. But then your PMI goes up. Now you have $512 in PMI. Insurance and taxes are preset here. You can change those to reflect what you're going to be paying. And also set the interest rate based on what was default here at Zillow. You could also do that, change your interest rate yourself for that as well. And then let's go on to the spreadsheet just to see how the numbers can work. So this is a 3-unit building that we bought at $650,000 in this scenario. Now your rental, let's say $1,675 for the two per unit, right? So you're making $3,350 for both units. It's $1,675, and then you're not making anything on your unit, right? This is your unit. Unit 1, you're getting $1,675. Unit 2, you're getting $1,675 for a total of $3,350 a month. Okay, so now your mortgage is going to be $3,923. I set utilities at $300. Common area, this could be like common electricity for the hallways and whatnot at $50. Then this is your own unit, right? So you're factoring in your own unit's expenses. Usually you wouldn't, but let's just add those. $300 and $350 for electricity and gas, and you can reflect it based on what numbers actually work are for yourself. In this scenario, if you were a renter, you would be paying $23.25. Why? Because your rent is $16.75, plus you'll be paying electricity, plus you'll be paying gas, for a total of $23.25. And for the year, that would be $27,900, right? As a owner, your monthly payment is only $15.73 compared to $23.25, right? So you're saving $750 a month already, $752 a month. Your yearly payment would be $18,876, and now compared to a renter, you're saving $9,000. So that's 32%. If you were to be a renter in this unit, you're saving 32% of your income just by owning the home instead of being a renter in this unit, in this building. Now, let's see what happens if you had a single family. So let's go with the same scenario. Let's say you bought at $350, and again, I did the same thing here. All I did was I added the numbers. I still have PMI because I put 3.5%. I did the interest rate a little higher, and you're at 2.253. It's gonna be $2,253 is gonna be your monthly payment. So here it is. Utilities, I put 150, 200 on gas. I lowered them a little bit, but potentially it could be the same or more as a apartment building, right? So $2803 is your total expense for the month. For the year, you're gonna be paying $33,636 to maintain this home. Now, so in a single family, you're going to be paying $33,636, and compared to the multifamily, where you're going to be saving $14,760, because your expenses were only $18,876, right? So when you subtract that 18,000 minus 33,000, that's how you get that 14,000. So you're getting $14,000 in savings of owning a multifamily compared to a single family in this scenario, and that's 43% difference, right? So in this scenario, owning this multifamily, you will be saving 43% as opposed to living in this single family. So this is why house hacking is such a big difference in such a financial. It can give you such a big financial turnaround, because you could see how the numbers could reflect and help you out in your yearly income. Number 9, taxes. So one of the things that people say, hey, why do you like real estate so much? The biggest advantage of real estate, especially if you're doing a house hack, when you're buying a single family and you're living in it and there's no other expenses coming from a tenant, you can't write anything off. As opposed to when you have a multifamily, any expenses that go to that additional unit, you're actually going to be able to write them off. What does that mean? That income that person's paying you is going to be almost null. It's going to be non-existent, because you already you have your interest rates that you're going to have to be paying. You're going to have your taxes that you're going to be paying. You're going to have your utilities like water bill that you're going to be paying for the whole unit. So all those things could potentially be divided in between your unit and that additional unit and reduce the income that you're getting from your tenant into those tax benefits. So I hope these steps helped you get an idea of what you need to get started house hacking. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. And thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.